compound farming, and then sack farming, how it's replacing the traditional flowers that we usually grow in our various homes, and then the impact so far and how you can equally generate income from your excess produce at home, job creation angles of it, the knowledge and skills transfer, and I'll also share some profilings that have been done and other available support, and I will take you through a kind of a gallery of some produce that the whole house, or I call it a house or family, that we've all been producing, and welcome your questions. But the first thing, rhetorical questions that I would like to ask is, do you know what you actually buy and eat, especially when it comes to vegetables? Have you seen them being produced before? Maybe you usually see them being produced, but have you paid a critical attention to how it is being produced and watered? And my brother was touching, Rakofi was touching on that earlier, sharing some examples and all those things. And I will just mention, recently I was driving on the motorway, and anyone who equally drive on the motorway can observe the water that is being used to water the vegetables that ends up in our market. And I was around Vivian Farm, around Lashibi area as well, down there, and what I saw is not something I should describe right now. So we'll have a full discussion around this. Please feel free to stop me along the way and ask questions as well. And I proceed. So about the sack farming, the idea of the sack farming was actually birthed, let me say, about 7 years ago now, because we're in a new year. And basically is to grow crops in sacks without chemicals or fertilizer, where access to land is a challenge, especially in urban areas where we find ourselves, and in situations where we have most of our home compounds. So how do you produce what you want to eat and love to eat? And you will want to do this all year round, and making sure that you have all year round supply of natural foods, for that matter, vegetables. And I've been the main brain behind the sack farming. Along the way, one of my friends called Priscilla also joined to spearhead it. But there are other ones that we are doing, including what is called organic sack farming, as well, being championed by Tony Lawson and myself, where you receive daily tips as well, complementary platforms as well. So let's move on, and we'll throw more light on this later on. Now, majority of us here today might be living in urban cities, and you want to grow vegetables, but what are some of the challenges that exist? There are land scarcity issues within our urban cities. If you want to go into farming, for example, in Accra here, you won't get any piece of land, or the one you get may be quite expensive to get. You also have issues, let's say, the space you have available in your home compound, as I alluded to earlier, may be paved or concreted, just like that, so you can plant anything. In urban cities, there are also issues to do with chemically induced vegetables. Most of the vegetables that we buy from the market don't last long. For that matter, we say they have decreased shelf lives. So you realize that you go to market on Saturdays, you buy a vegetable. By the time you get home, you are unable to use it. It's not only from handling, but because it has a short lifespan due to how it's been produced. Again, the challenges in urban cities has to do with high budgetary expenditure on vegetables. You can bear with me how much you spend on buying vegetables every week to cook. It's quite expensive. Notwithstanding, if my record serves me right, from tomorrow, there is what is starting as Operation Clean Your Frontage. The issue is because most of our markets as well are quite contaminated, to put it bluntly. So most vegetables that we buy from our markets are equally contaminated, especially from unhygienic handling. We find ourselves in environmental, environmentally unfriendly situations, sanitation issues all around us. So making it difficult for us to, grow and eat good vegetables. And in urban areas as well, we can talk about inactivity as a result of work, retirement, and youth unemployment, making people stay at home. They don't have anything to do. Sometimes they are thinking of what to do. Some people are on pension. They only stay at home. Sometimes they go out to exercise or travel at home. But this will challenge us to do something new. And also, when you find yourself in urban cities, you will realize that there is less learning opportunities for your families, especially our children, to imbibe the practice of agriculture, practical aspect of agriculture. So that's why I'm so happy our brother Kofi has been, helping the daughter-in-law, pushing her, and I'm so proud of them. So what has been the climate smart agricultural solution to some of the issues I mentioned earlier, which will, push us into, food safety, ensuring what we eat is of top notch. Now, this is what we usually do. That is a very simple technology that we deploy, and anybody can do that. All you need to do is to gather empty sacks or containers, or what we say, anything that can hold water, any receptacle that can hold sand and water, or soil for that matter. And I always lay emphasis on sandy soil and loamy soil, but not clay soil. And again, what you need to do is, after gathering the sacks, you only need to, dig out soil from your compound, or maybe you buy from those who supply the soil or garden. You can equally go to gardeners along our street. They may supply you some of the soils that you may need. Now, the next step is basically to gather or collect poultry droppings or any other organic manure. I most lay emphasis on poultry droppings. And the pictures you've seen here is an example of what Mr. Tony Lawson and I did at his place. So we wanted to produce our own manure, not only manure, but also benefit from the chicken and the rest. So you can see the hens are laying, and we are equally getting a lot of manure dropping, which we use to cultivate our crops. So all you need to do after gathering your sack and then the receptacle that will hold the sand is to look out for any manure, preferably poultry dropping. The next thing is basically to mix your soil and the manure, and as I said earlier on, sandy soil or loamy soil in sacks or the container that you've seen, as I've indicated here. Then you make, because we want it to look more beautiful, what we usually do is to make a decorative arrangement of the sacks or other receptacles in an open area. And basically add water to the mixture of soil and manure in the sacks or the container. So it's quite that simple, but you need to pay attention to it. So the next thing we do is for seeds that must be planted directly. For example, beans, maize, okra, and a host of others, you plant them directly in the sack. Any other one, maybe those that need to be nursed and transplanted, you may have to nurse them, and there are various ways that we do that. For example, we use the nursery tray, as indicated in the image below, to nurse the seeds and then transplant them into the sacks as well. So what I said as watch as they grow beautifully is this. So here I'm showing you here couple of plants that are growing in the sacks after being transplanted or grown directly. You can see in the top left corner from my side, okras in the sacks, tomatoes are there. You can see maize, you can see habanero pepper, ginger, and then you can equally see green pepper. They are all growing beautifully. Why are they growing beautifully, and why are we saying watch them as they grow beautifully? All because we are using sack, and we love to use the Dangote cement bag most because it's able to hold water and the sand, and the nutrient is well retained in the sand. It's not leached out, it's not eroded out, unlike open field where such erosions may happen and you see the manure shifting or moving to one side. But here in the sack, everything is retained and contained in the sack for the plant to feed on and just grow beautifully to your desire, to how you want it to look like. So they are growing beautifully and are producing beautifully for you, and you admire them a lot when you see them. Now, you may want to ask, as they are growing beautifully, definitely, as human beings, we also fall sick in one way or the other. How about the plants? When they fall sick, what do we do? And here, earlier on, I was laying emphasis on no chemical application. So what do we do? What do I do? In my case, I usually prepare my pepper garlic oil solution, and I can demonstrate this one or or you can Google pepper garlic oil solution on YouTube. You see various sample videos that can guide you as to how to do that. That we prepare and use. Neem cake or neem pepper solution, various organic mixtures. But basically what I use most is the neem garlic oil solution, and then the neem pepper solution that I prepare myself and just spray it on the plant. But sometimes, because it's not standardized, what we usually do is to ensure that after preparation, we test it on one plant first. So you can see the picture at the bottom here. There is a worm infestation on this lettuce, but this pepper garlic solution is able to clear them and they are all gone, and the neem solution as well. But what we usually lay emphasis on is being more proactive rather than being reactive. You don't wait till the worms get onto your plant before you start, treating the plant. It may be too late. So what I usually do is every 2 weeks or every week, I spray the plant once, just to prevent any occurrence of any insects or worms infestation. And I want my plant to look neat, clean, and ready to eat at any point in time. So organically, this is how we treat most of our plants. Now, there is a smart watering system, and I'm so happy Tony is also on the call here. And this is being pioneered more by my brother and friend, Anthony Lawson. We are all workers, busy people. We travel a lot. We don't stay at home for days or two. You may be wondering, how do we water, or how do I water my plants? So what I have here is a setup that has been done by my brother Anthony Lawson, and I will showcase as we go along how he did some, and he can be contacted to guide you in how to do that as well. So in my case, as I'm traveling, I don't bother at all or worry at all that my plant will starve and die along the way. We have a drip irrigation system that we call self-irrigation smart automated drip watering system, a big name that may contain all the description at once. But how does this operate? So for example, what he usually do is this an example of what he installed on his rooftop. So he did a setup on his rooftop, and he's been harvesting a lot. We'll see samples of that in a short while. But this setup is added self-timer. So this timer is able to regulate how water is supplied to the plant. He programmed it in such a way that he can command it to water the plant in the morning, let's say this quantity 6 a.m. and this quantity in the evening, or depending on the weather condition. So you can travel for a week. Once water is available in your container or sack, your plant will be well watered. It is not connected to electricity. It is powered by battery, and it can last for almost a year without battery being changed. So the self-timer works with a drip system, and you have perfect watering system for your plants. And what I want to draw your attention to is that with the system in place, only 100 milliliters of water, you can program it so that 100 milliliters of water will be dispensed within 10 minutes per sack. And in this case, you will not waste water, unlike you are using watering can or cup or any other thing that the quantity may vary from sack to sack or from plant to plant. And looking at this, about 300 milliliters of water per sack may be used within a day. And this is less than 500 milliliters of water. That is a sachet of water being used. But you know, a sachet of water of 500 milliliters of water is more than the water that you're going to supply per sack in a day. But sometimes this varies depending on the weather condition and the time you allotted to your plants. And as I said earlier, you can travel once your plants are fully watered. Now, I'm using Tony's own as an example within Community 7 in Lashibi area. Just last year, as part of his cultivation, this is one of them. So we arranged the sack, he arranged the sacks on top of his roof and laid the drips on it and did the whole setup. And he can travel for weeks. Once water is there, his plant will be well irrigated, well nourished, and everything will be ready when it is due. So something like this is neat, is hygienic. The human interaction with the plant is limited, and you just become an inspector in your farm. You won't spend time weeding or maybe trying to look for a second hand, or sometimes we call them farm hands to come and work on your farm. This one, you just walk through your farm and pick 1 or 2 weeks, that may be in the sack. But over the years, you hardly find weeds growing in your sacks. More because you're likely to use, let's say, poultry droppings that hardly contain seeds, unlike if you use the other animal droppings, like the 4-legged animal droppings, including cow dung, that may contain seeds as well that may grow along the way. But this one is faster in terms of the manure. It makes your farm neater. The arrangement is perfect. You can just set up, even having a small place, and you can produce a lot. If we do a calculation regarding the space that he's using to cultivate this and the number of plants that he was having there as at last year, you'll be shocked. And I'll show you why you'll be shocked very shortly. Now, he planted this, and the emphasis is on all year round supply of food once you have this system in place. You know, at a point in time, most vegetables become very expensive. Tomatoes, okras, just name them, they become very expensive. And I remember some time ago, we had a Zoom conference where we invited one officer from the Ministry of Agri to look into how we can cultivate those kind of crops or vegetables that become more expensive during the dry season. And the feedback we got is that it's not feasible because of our weather condition. So we took it as a challenge and said, no, we are going to try this using our deployed system to see the results. So that was last year, exactly 2016 or so, February. Tony planted tomatoes in the sacks on his rooftop. Do the setup on it, watering them. Could you imagine? And we all know the month of late February, March, April are the hottest season in Ghana in any year. And that was the same time that we planted the tomatoes on rooftop and other places. And here is the result of what he harvested. It came out beautifully. We didn't have any issue. Dry season tomatoes. So whilst others were buying tomatoes very expensive, he was harvesting in baskets during dry season. And the first time he weighed the first harvest from just, I think, from one line, first harvests are usually few. And when he harvested, it was about 17 kilograms. And that's what is on the weighing scale over there, including the cucumber that we can see here, okra, as you can see him in the farm as well. So it's possible for you to grow your plants deploying this system, sack farming, all year round, and having your food or vegetables readily available to you throughout the whole year, less expensive, and you definitely going to save a lot of money. Now, the innovation, how has it been adopted for year-round farming? I've alluded to it earlier on, but people contact us, and with expertise from my brother Tony, as I'm using as an example, we go to the sites and do a whole setup for people. So here is an example of someone in Accra Ridge who decided that, hey, I have a long tennis court. Instead of me not using it anymore, why not convert it into something more productive? So we did this setup for the person, and I'm going to show you the results. this is what she planted. You can see zucchini, you can see green pepper, normal chili pepper, tomatoes during dry season. And they were all doing so well. Now, here is an example of one of her first harvests. And now she's big time into this. And because it's an organically produced vegetables, and people know that she's producing this, there is always a high demand of what she produces any day. So she is now chasing anybody who is, doing this to, bring their excess produce so that she can sell it to her networks and all those things. And she's a retired diplomat and she's making extra income, living a healthy life, and she's not feeling any bored any longer in the house. She goes into the farmers and inspector and come out as a big time harvester and make good money out of her investment, which anybody can do. Imagine you are doing this, you have, let's say, 200, 300, 500 sacks, and you're making good money out of it. It's not a joke what you can make out of this. And I'm sure, I won't tell you, but perhaps if the chance comes, Tony may share his example or experience of what he's been doing out of selling from his sacks. Now, sack farming replacing flowers. In most cases, on our porches, in our houses, on the compound, we grow flowers. I'm not saying we shouldn't grow flowers. They are beautiful. But sometimes you may want to convert that space into producing what you eat. So in my home, we eat fresh lettuce as breakfast, which is good for our liver. Our liver needs it. And it's not any ordinary lettuce, but organically produced. And I'll share an example with you. The thing is this, that from one container like this, you can keep harvesting from the same stem of a lettuce about 9 times. But when you go to the market, I mean, they approve the thing, handle it anyhow, dip it in 1 or 2 waters. You don't know how it's washed. You also take it and send home. Then you find yourself, struggling, taking some out and all those things. But this one is readily available. Once you convert your flower pot into something like this, you just step out, pluck the leaves, and within a week, they will regenerate. And you can come back and harvest it the following week. So something like this, I can harvest from this same, let's say, one of these containers 9 times from the same plant. And there is a video I've done on that that I can share with you all later on through our brother Nehemiah, if you so desire. So you can convert your flower pot into sack farming or any other receptacles that you may want to use, and you will love it and enjoy it because the things will be readily available to you to use at any time. Now, the impact so far, we discovered that it's been very therapeutic. Why am I saying so? Because it's helping promote healthy living, especially among retired and unemployed people or people who are just home and are in themselves, they become highly inactive. But once they have a setup like this, it may not be large like this, but it can be few, even 10, 5, 20, 50, 200 or more. Once you are tending to them, you are tending to nature, you are tending to plants, and you know what plants do. In my former office, what I do is that once I'm working, after a while, I step out into the green environment in our compound just to enjoy the greenery, which is good for our eyes and so forth and so on. So things of this nature are very therapeutic. You feel the joy, early morning joy. Plants do put smile on our faces and they gladden our souls and hearts whenever we see them. Now, here is a retired officer as well. And you can see Tony in between two retired officers and myself in the front here. We pay them visits, and they've done this setup. And we are so proud of this man. He retired from active service since 1994. And during the COVID period, this man saw a video which was produced on this sack farming on GTV, went to GTV, looked for my contact, made his driver, drove all the way to my house to verify for himself whether this is true. This was during the lockdown period. And this man came. And initially, we were like, hey, what is this? What's happening? And I must tell you, this man, all that he eats, because he's on diet, he produces it from his sack. Let me confess, the very first time I've tasted, how do we call that? Soya made using mushroom, I ate it from this man's house after a whole setup was, done for him. And it's been very therapeutic for this family, and it's saving them a lot of money. Instead of going to the market and all those things, they just go to their compound and harvest whatever they're looking for. Now, training our kids, learning opportunities for our families is on the redundancy. Our children are unable to identify crops. But once you have a setup like this, just like the pictures you can see here, we introduce our children to practical ways of farming. They get to know names of the plants, identify with them, how they grow, and they ask questions. And you are able to tell them, okay, this one is tomatoes, this one is pepper, this is this. And they begin to pick it. And trust me, that little impartation in the near future will become something great for them, because in the near future, when they grow, they may want to scale up and do it on a bigger note and make good money out of it. And that is the future. I always keep saying that Ghana is a small piece of land. A time is coming, we will not have any farmland again. Just imagine the number of houses that are being built a day, the land that are being cleared each and every day for all purposes, excluding farming. We are building houses, doing this and that, but food production is on the low side. So what is going to dominate in the near future will be things of this nature, using smaller spaces in your home to produce what you can eat for yourself as well as make money for yourself. And so training your children now is much easier, imparting them so they adopt this and are able to make good use of it when they grow. So these are families that are imparting their children with what they've been doing. And we have a group where we support, individuals in ensuring that everyone benefits. So people who don't have the, know-how, the practical know-how, do contact us and we do some of these setups for them. This is a practical example in Cantonment, where we did some of this example, demonstrated it, and the children picked it up. And trust me, it has been a game changer for this family. Now, I want you to introduce to one of the impact that is so dear to my heart. One of the greatest impact of this to me is eating healthy diet. Now, all that you can see in this image has been made using vegetables cultivated from my sacks without chemicals or fertilizer. So all the things you can see here, the lettuce, the cucumber, the onion, the carrot, the beetroot, everything was cultivated in my sack. All that my wife did was that one evening we came back and I said, no, I'm not going to eat dinner. I said, okay, then let me go to the farm and get you something. So she went to the farm, pluck the various things that she needed, came back and just prepared this. I must say, this is better than going to the market to buy something that has passed through several hands before you bring it to the house. The time and all those things that you can think about that will go into this. Once you have this in place, you have shortened the process and you can have something to eat that is of less contamination or no contamination from improper handling. And again, all that you can see here, excluding the fish as well from my sack. So instead of eating ordinary pepper, you can have your carrots from your sack, tomatoes, onion, lettuce, the cabbage, the eggs from the chicken coop that you have, beetroot, everything there is from a sack that I have. I can see another brother joining, Kwame Asari. Great to see you. I know you as well. So it's very important to grow something like this and eat something healthy. Now, how do you generate income from your excess produce? What you usually do is that, in most cases, we hardly standardize what we buy or from the market. But what we kept and doing, encouraging people, and we'll be practicing, is weighing and measuring most of our excess produce for the market. And since you can see at the bottom left corner, you can see, for example, a healthy okra that we've produced, which is about 20 centimeters long. And this is something you hardly get in the open field market or in the ordinary market fresh like this. So we able to measure and weigh our excess produce and determine a price to put on it. That becomes an extra income for the whole family. Now, we most often equally package what we produce, the excess produce. And once we weigh them, we package them neatly in various ways that we can think about and are able to, transport them easily. Or people, and in most cases, people come to us and just buy the things directly and be able to consume fresh stuffs. And I'll also tell you something about the excess stuffs. Now, if you don't want to sell and you have excess produce, what do? You preserve them. So I have, and other people also have, food dehydrator. So in this case, I had excess tomatoes and I wanted to turn it into powdered form. All that I did was to use my food dehydrator to dehydrate the water out of it. And this is what I've turned it into. I use my power blender to blend it into powdered form. And we've been using it to prepare soup. So it saves us a lot of money instead of having the paste. And in situations where you don't want to store it in your fridge or freezer or any other means that may not be available because of power outages and all those things, you can turn it into powder form, seal it airtight, and it's readily available for you to use all year round as after you preserve it in this manner. Now, let's look at the job creation aspect of it, both casual and permanent. So this is an example of something that Tony was contacted, and the person said, oh, I have this gated plot. I want you to help me set up this. And currently, if you go there, the person is cultivating things for both domestic and external for export as well, and the person is making money. Not only making money, but on the left side of the picture you can see here, there are casual jobs that have been, generated out of this, and these people are able to earn a living out of your hand for that day. You've saved their life. But on a bigger note, the picture to our right, all this is being managed by someone, one person who come in as an inspector, check the things and all that. It's on a permanent basis. Money is being realized from this, is being used to pay him as well. And we are reducing by this means the unemployment situation within among the youth and in the country, all because of this small innovation that is in place. Now, skills and knowledge transfer. We build each other's capacities. So once a while, most individuals, friends, and other people who hears of this come to check and see if this actually exists and how they can also replicate this. And truly, my brother Brakofi equally paid us a visit, as he alluded to earlier on before we started. And it's been a fun moment. We learn from each other. We transfer skills among ourselves. We learn new things, and we keep supporting each other along the way. So we also do organize regular Zoom meetings to share critical information on our crops and how they survive and so forth and so on. And a lot more people join, and we share knowledge once a while. Now, again, we have a dedicated WhatsApp platform. We have it for the SAC Revolution, and we share knowledge along the way, and we are able to help each other along the way. Now, we also have a dedicated Facebook page, a series of them, and I'll make the links available to our brother to share with you in case you want to join as well to receive daily tips. Yes, the page is available for you to get daily tips as well. We equally have some profiling on our works. So when we started this, the Institute of Environment and Sanitation Studies did a whole profiling on this work, and it's been published. It has actually been published, and it's on their website, and you can read more about it by the University of Ghana. Their Radio Universe also carried it for some time, and GTV did a whole profiling on it, which they've been showing regularly. Once a while, they show it. Not that during the COP20, Conference of Parties 20, for the UN climate that was held, I think they recently held the COP 2016. But during the COP20, DWTV International came down to profile our work and use it to kind of made a case for climate change, smart agriculture, and how it's helping families, move along. Not only that, last year, the Turkish government, through their Turkish radio and TV network, also came down to do a whole profiling, which they've aired on their national TVs and for other programs as well. And they always share the videos with us. Equally, before the year ends, and I will soon share that video, the Chinese government, through their English channel, also came to, profile the work. They said they've seen the one that GTV and DWTV showed, and they cannot be left alone. They also wanted to do something. But sometimes you are sometimes cautious when China is being mentioned because they are able to replicate most of the things that you do. But they came down to, profile something like this that is helping families have all year round supply of what they eat most at all time. And in June last year, there was a whole conference. University of Ghana, most of the colleges organize these international conferences where they request for abstracts across the world. So I also submitted an abstract in this area. It was accepted among the pool. We were shortlisted. We made a kind of presentation when the conference was being held. And I must say, it came to me as a surprise that it was adjudged as the best presentation and innovation for the year and at the conference among all the other presentation and innovations that were presented across the world. So we are happy to receive some feedbacks on the works that we are doing in this form, knowing very well that it's helping us eat healthy, vegetables without chemicals or fertilizers. Now, what are the other available supports that we give? We usually help people do their, drip irrigation setup, and at a highly subsidized, price, unlike the real markets where you find these things quite expensive. We also, through our works, do have viable seeds and seedlings. So most often we have access to some of these that we are able to nest and able to, let we call ourselves families, have access to some of these seedlings or seeds as and when they need it. And real-time advisory services are available, and sometimes to sack farm materials that we are able to organize ourselves. So recently we organized ourselves and, went and bought the sacks, because you hardly find the sacks now. Those from Burkina Faso are coming for the sacks and using it for other stuff. So you hardly get the sacks nowadays, but we are able to organize ourselves and able to get these sacks at a good price. So I have a question that I want to put across before I end, and I will let Tony also come in to share some of his experiences on the whole thing. Now, between the picture above, they are all okros. The one above is an okro, the one below is an okro. I only say the choice is yours. The one above was bought from a market, and I must say, I bought this 7 Ghana cedis at Tesco Market here in Accra on the Spinters Road. And the one below, I cultivated it in my own sack. Now you can see the one at the top, you can judge for yourself. Handling is quite dirty, it looks old, but the one below, well, you can, the choice is yours. Readily available, harvested, fresh, and I just take it and use. And this thing comes handy. So I have a daughter who just turned 6 months. And once I have this readily in my sacks, wifey will just go, or myself will just go harvest. And we have easy way to feed our daughter, especially now that she started complementary feeding. But I want to motivate you again before Tony comes in with some produce from our sacks. So here you can see cabbage produced right in my home, and I've harvested it. You don't have to go far to harvest it, right within your sack. My wife loves to sometimes arrange some of our harvests whenever she harvests them, and take pictures. So whenever she goes to harvest, she'll come and arrange and take pictures and share with me, or I'll take the picture. So this is fresh, spotless, and ready to use vegetables harvested right from our sacks, from our sack to the kitchen. So you can see lettuce, cocoyam leaves, garden egg, okra, tomatoes in there. Here you can see garden eggs on the tree in the sacks, fresh and ready to harvest. You can see beetroot, you can see turmeric and cocoyam leaves again as well. Yeah, sometimes people think you can't grow maize or okra, maize in sacks. Yeah, I've demonstrated it. And there is a whole something we've piloted on this, growing maize in the same sack continuously, let's say 2 or 3 times, whether it will produce well. You all know maize is a heavy hitter, but this is for another day. But just to tell you, you can equally grow maize in your sack and eat, and your children will equally enjoy. So here is an example when they were in the sacks, and when I just came and harvested them, very fresh and readily available. And you can see the zucchini, or some people call it Colgate or baby marrow, to my left picture, ready to harvest. And this one was the woman had reached that Tony and I helped to do the setup. And you can see fresh cucumber, fresh, spotless. You just harvest it and use. And here is habanero pepper, one of the hottest pepper you can find on the planet, freshly harvested to be used from our sacks. And can you imagine lettuce and okra? Lettuce to the left side, look at how firm the leaves are. And you just pick them straight, prepare them and use. And you see the okra too, very fresh green, no chemical, no fertilizer, readily available to use for you at any point in time. So my wife did this decorative piece as well with the ginger, lettuce, and other stuff. So assorted vegetables that she harvested for us to use. And some tomatoes you can equally see here being displayed, not being displayed, but actually on the tree. Some started ripening and we took pictures. And again, some habanero pepper actually on the tree producing. And yes, we weigh them, a sample of weighing some of our produce. So different types, we call it different colors. Ghana, you can see the Ghana flag in the red, yellow, green mixture of harvests from the same plant. They are equally habanero peppers. And this is one of the amazing ones in recent times that I've planted, thanks to Tony, who gave me this particular seedling. And if he tells you or show you what he actually harvested, you will love it. This is actually a pepper, not so hot. You can use it in your lettuce. You can use it, very tasty. And we've been enjoying it. You can see the sacks in the background. And this was harvested by Wifey. And as usual, she'll take pictures and share with us. And this is our chili or bird eye view pepper, very tiny. And usually this is used in in most sardine preparations and the likes. You can see them, just 1 tree in a receptacle, like a container like this. You can harvest a lot from it and just use, readily available for you to use in case you don't want to use any other pepper. So I have assorted, kind of stuffs, and excess produce, we store them in the freezer or fridge, depending on how we want to preserve them. Now, so here is another one, cantaloupe, or some people call it rock melon, sweet melon, or speck melon. Forgive me, speck melon. So I always want to skip that name, but usually we just call it cantaloupe. It belongs to the family of melons, and it's quite a good one to eat. And I'm sure those who might not taste it before, anytime you taste this, you love to grow it. You can sometimes cultivate this in your home to serve as a shed as well, and you just been enjoying something beautiful from this. Ginger being cultivated, you have your ginger available, harvest it and just use. And this is why I want to bring the curtains down on the presentation. I'm sure the questions and answers will definitely help us delve more into some areas that I might not have highlighted. But before then, if our brother Tony is on the call, he can come in and equally share some of his examples, experiences, because I've alluded to him as well. And we work hand in hand in most cases as well. Hello, Tony, are you there?
Hi, Victus. I'm here.
Great.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I think, Victus, you've done a good job. You've basically touched on all the necessary points. So without wasting time, I prefer we go to the questions and answers. So anything that comes up that will require my attention, I'll just pick it up.
Okay, right. So the moderator, I will say we are open up to answer a lot of questions that may come. I'm seeing the list of participants and I can recognize a lot of family members. I call everyone family. So along the way, I will acknowledge those I can easily recognize along the way. I can see my brother.
I see Ernest has his hand up.
Yes.
So it's either you raise your hand and then you get opportunity to ask your question, or you drop it in there.
Right. So Brian is
So Ernest, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm very glad to be part of this meeting. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I was just doing something on Facebook and I chanced on the poster with my brother's face on it. And I read through, I said, oh, this is a very wonderful meeting that is going to be. So I just decided to join. Well, and luckily time permits me. So I just joined. I'm speaking all the way from Canada. And then I could see you guys are doing something great. Victus, you are doing a yeoman's job because this is a very great information. So my very first question, it's about environmental concerns. Is there any environmental concern about the whole process that should be a matter of discussion as to how we should prevent the environment whilst doing this kind of farming? Because this data has been the topic of the day. Everybody is talking about climate change. And recently in December, we have the Glasgow Summit, where the whole world is talking about how to protect the environment. So my first question is about that. And the second question is, in the process of the farming, does it depend on seasons, or you can grow anything you want to grow at all time? So those are the two questions I want to have answers to, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ernest. So Victus, before you come in, let's take maybe another two questions.
Right.
Go ahead and ask your question. So iPhone, go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Eric Nanaya Amis. I'm not an iPhone, but this is like my phone is being registered with an iPhone. That's why. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah. How much capital do you need to start something like this? Within us, maybe to buy the raw materials and stuff. How much capital you might need? Hello?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please. The question has been well noted, please.
Okay.
Ernest, and then Anel, and then we can take another round of questions. This set of questions, and then we'll go for another round of questions.
Okay, so I should answer these ones first. I mean, that's what you want. Or you want us to take an additional one?
Let's take the last one. Let's take the next one from Kofi Amigos, right. And then yeah. So Kofi, go ahead.
Well, I must say, since I visited Victus, it's been a game changer for me. My lettuce But the problem is, it looks like my lettuce are overgrowing into a tree. When I cut off the leaves, they are shooting up that high. And the cucumber seems the leaves seem to be turning yellowish, sort of. There is enough water, because for water is not a problem. In fact, I've just got some 200 more bags, and it looks like my whole compound is no longer going to be any place for parking vehicles or anything. It's just going to be growing, and probably I might be going for 500 sacks. This has been very helpful, but I'm just concerned about sometimes, the plants, like for instance, some tomato seedlings I bought from Michelle Camp area, they all died, and I'm just wondering what could have caused that. Could it be stress or something?
Okay, so thank you very much, Kofi. Victus, whilst you answer the questions from Ernest, Nanaya, and Kofi, there's one from today in the chat box. He says, how do you control pests?
That's right. Okay, so because this one is in the import, let me just quickly attend to it. So earlier on, I used the example of how we control diseases and pests through a simple method. We always want to go, in most cases, without chemical, natural remedies. What we always emphasize is this, being more proactive than being reactionary. So throughout the lifespan of the plant, you will be spraying some, in quotes, concoctions that we may want to call it. Basically, the neem leaves that we've been seeing around, we have a way of preparing them in different forms that you can apply on your plant every 2 weeks. These things will not, affect you. They will run away. They will run away from you. It's better to prevent them than rather wait for them to come attack your plant before you start a remedy. The other thing we use is a pepper garlic oil solution. This one we always prepare it at home. So we have, let's say 5 peppers. We have 1, garlic in there. You have any cooking oil, for example, Frytol as an example, not to promote them, but Frytol as an example. Then what we do in that preparation is this. You grind your pepper, sieve it, heat it on fire. You grind the pepper with the garlic, sieve them, kind of heat the solution, because you add water after sieving. You heat it on water, add oil to it, let it settle down, and all that you do, because it may be very potent, very hot, as I said earlier, just sample it with 1 leaf, apply it at 1 spot of the leaf. If the leaf reacts, excuse me, if the leaf reacts to it, then you need to dilute the solution a little bit. If it doesn't, go ahead and spray it. Now, there is always a procedure as to how you spray. So if you look at, for example, the lettuce leaf, you can see here, there is a top part and there is a bottom part. But when we are spraying, most often people just spray the top. But in most situations, you see the insect and then all those things that attack most of our plants hiding at the bottom. So it's best you spray the bottom and the top to prevent any of them hiding anywhere. So basically, that is what we've been doing to ensure that, we control diseases and pests. Unless it is a heavy attack that is within the environment, this thing should be able to help you out to a greater extent. I hope I've answered the question in the chat box. Now, going to the questions received from our brother Ernest, and I answer his second question.
Hello.
Yes, yeah.
If I can just chip in
right.
About the pest control.
Right. So that's Tony speaking.
Yes, I think neem oil is also common on the market now.
Yes, yes.
That you can easily buy with an emulsifier or using any organic soap. You can have a good mixture that can also work very well for you if you don't have the time to go prepare this yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you just want to make those points.
And they are not expensive at all. They are not expensive. They are very, 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 affordable. Yes. Okay. So thank you, Tony. So our brother Ernest asked about environmental concerns and then whether you can plant the cross all year round or what so forth. So the first one, let me answer the second one first. Yes, with this system, you can plant with emphasis on this all year round. So there is no season you may decide that, okay, tomatoes only grow well during rainy season, and maize also has its own season. But with this season method, you can plant anything that you can think or dream of all year round. So this time around, you don't even bother yourself about the season. All you need to ensure is that there is water available and you have your system running and you'll be fine to go. So I cited the case of our brother Tony who just spoke, how he planted the tomatoes on his rooftop during the period when Ghana was experiencing the highest temperature between the month of February, specifically from 16th February last year. He planted that all year running. In fact, at a point, he had to just decide that we are going to destroy the plants because it kept producing flowers and bearing fruit along the way. So it's all year round supply of what you can dream of and can plant. Environmental concerns. Now, with this particular system, there is no environmental concern or issue that we've currently identified. Rather, we're helping solve a lot of them. One is a smart climate approach to helping people, for example, who live in the Sahel regions, who may not have access to green vegetations and all those things to plant what they want to plant, but need this kind of vegetables to eat at all points in time. Now, can you imagine? Let me looking at from the picture here, all these sacks would have been flying around, perhaps choking our gutters or elsewhere, causing flooding when it rains and the rest. But these things are being put into productive use, growing valuable stuffs, crops in them. So we reuse materials that would have ordinarily be thrown away, becoming quite hazardous to our environment. So in one way, we are helping prevent negative environmental issues that are there. So none has been identified yet, but the forum is there for us to research into this area. And I know my brother is more into research as well. So he may want to take it as a challenge for us to look into that as well. So if that's the response I may want to provide to that, perhaps others may want to add their voices. I've seen other family members like Kwame Asari also there, who has been very big into this as well. He may share his experience as well. Now, a question was asked by Nana Yao. Yeah.
Emisa.
Yes, Emisa, about capital requirements. Now, with this, on a smaller scale, you don't need any massive investment or nothing. Let me say ordinarily nothing. The only thing that may come in as a cost is if you want to do the setup. And once you contact, Tony or other people that may have access to the system, the drip system, you are good to go. But Tony has link with, because of his work, and excuse me, he didn't say it, but I need to just use it as an example. Because of his work, he's have access to most of these suppliers and are able to negotiate with them to get a very good price for some of the materials that you can help do your setup. So in terms of cost, it's almost zero, because they are, just think of it like this. You've gone to market, you buy rice, the rice sack, you can use it. You can gather sand from your environment. Perhaps if you have any animal dropping, or if you don't have any animal dropping, the leaves of the trees or flowers in your house that are decomposing, you can use them as manure, and you are good to go. Neem leaves are common across board.
Okay, wait, is it possible I can add one question to it?
Yes, please do.
Is it possible for me to add another question as you are answering my question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Now we want to plant organic things, right? So what kind of plants are we putting on the soil? Well, we are trying to plant organic, and most of the plants that we get around are not organic. So where do we get an organic one to make sure that at the end of the day we are eating organic?
Right. So you raise a good question. Yes, you raise a good issue. It's a good concern. So you see, one way of identifying whether the seed or seedling you have is organically okay to grow or is genetically modified is if you want to produce your own seed. If it is genetically modified, the fruits or vegetable that may be produced may not contain seed. 2, if it contains seed, some of those seeds, when you nest them, they may not germinate. 3, some, when they germinate, they will not grow well. Now, they've designed them in such a way that those who are genetically modifying are having business mind, so that at all times you can go back to them for what they have. And there is coming a time where there will be food war, because we are relying on them for seeds and seedlings. And once they decide not to supply us, we will go hungry. But to a large extent, most of the seeds and seedlings we have around are not fully genetically modified, though we have them in the system and people are planting them. But majority you find around are not genetically modified, and they are doing well.
So I think the best thing is for us to get one particular place where we can get the organic one than we doing trying luck. Like the man raised an issue by saying that some of his fruits or leaves are turning into yellowish and other stuff, right? I think it's basically based on the fact that maybe he didn't go for organic type, right?
It may not necessarily be because you didn't go for the organic one. It may be from the organic one, but sometimes you may have to further deep in to understand what may be the cause. It may be sometimes how it was handled from the nursery.
Okay.
It may also be sometimes it's a genetically modified truly. Sometimes too, it may be some infections or another thing that may affecting the crop. So we may
Victor,
have to, yes, Tony.
I also want to come in and then maybe add my voice to that.
Okay.
You know, the leaves as they grow, especially with cucumber.
Yes.
As they grow, the older leaves turn yellow. It's common with cucumber.
Yes.
That is why we advise you do pruning of the old leaves.
Yes.
So if the leaves are grown and they are turning yellowish, that means they've reached their maturity. They no longer serve any purpose. So you just prune them from the plant. It's not always that it could be an issue with genetically modified seed or an infection, but it's just share of an old leaf that needs to be shed off.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's well explained.
Okay, Victus. Victus, there are two questions in the chat box.
Yes. I've seen them, and I want to deal with Brad Kofi's own and address Dede's own as well in the chat box. So a quick one on Brad Kofi's own. He asked about the lettuce overgrowing into tall trees and the likes. And I must say, that means you've been harvesting the leaves once a while from the same plant, if I'm right.
You are
basically
very right.
Yes, so that's what happens. So once you're harvesting the leaves, in my case, I can harvest 9 times and I will decide I will not harvest them because the leaves will now turn smaller, and at that point I leave them to grow flowers. So at that stage, definitely they will start growing flowers.
It is.
And thank you. In a while, you will see a lot of seeds being, produced out of that. So for now, you may decide to leave them to just produce seeds for you to harvest the seeds. We hardly see lettuce seeds, but that will produce some lettuce seeds, amazing lettuce seeds for you to see. They will look like rice. They will look like rice. Okay. In their shells. Yes, very beautiful as well. So in terms of the cucumber turning yellow, that has been addressed. The tomatoes, yes, to that a while ago. Now, I want to quickly turn to Dede, who asked some questions. Dede is asking, how much should you budget to start sack farm on your home? So basically, it depends on the number of sacks that you want to do. But on a smaller, scale, you may not need anything that much. Basically, procuring the sacks. And then if you want to have self-irrigation method, then the cost involved in the setup can be determined based on the sacks. And I'm sure you can talk to Tony, who he actually set up my watering system for me, enable me to run around easily. So he can come in handy to help you out. How do you control pests? We've delved into that. Can pure water bags be used? Yes, you can use pure water bags once you can, create little holes to allow excess water and heat out of the bags. Yes, you can use them, but they may not be the best option. But the pure water bag, yes, it's good. You can use it. Others have been using them. But along the way, because they may develop some algae and all those things, because it's plain and white. So once it's exposed to the sun, you may see those green algae developing on it. So it may not be so beautiful, but yes, you can use them. But I prefer to use something that sun cannot easily penetrate through the side of the sack, so that those algae will not be developed there as well. I hope I've answered our brother's, the person's question. I think there is another one. Do you need a platform for the sacks, or you just lay them on the floor? If from our brother Ernest, if your platform is flat or any other way, you can just lay them. But sometimes, as you can see in this picture, there is a black rubber that's been laid on the floor, because sometimes you have to think, and Tony has a way of explaining this beautifully. Tony, can you explain that to us, so I don't use the layman's approach in explaining that?
Okay, we are looking at a situation where you are farming on a concrete.
Yes. Base. So to prevent those algae.
You want to prevent these algae and things forming. Yes. And then also to keep the place clean. So you prefer to use this poly materials.
Yes.
To keep the place clean. It also prevents, especially on concrete base, it prevents that direct heat that have been soaked by the concrete from being released onto the plants, onto the sack to make the entire sack hot. So in a way, it breaks that heat that the concrete would have absorbed, and then just allow you to work with some ease.
Right. Thank you so much. So we ready for the next set of questions. I'm ready for the next set of questions. I've seen some other hands earlier from Enam. Enam, great to see you around.
I think we had Enam's hand up, and then we'll take 2 more questions, and then we can wrap up.
Sure.
So Enam, if you can come back and ask your, and then anyone else who wants to also ask a question.
Okay, my question was about. Hello.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Great job. I'm so impressed. But my question was about getting. I think the guy asked how to get organic plants, because I learned there's organic and inorganic. So if you have an inorganic plant and you're trying to use maybe organic remedies to support it, it doesn't respond very well. So then I wanted to find out how maybe you can throw more light on that, but you have spoken about it. But the other one also is pertaining the manuring. Like if you are going, you said you can use maybe fowl, cow dung, or chicken dropping or something. But then, so if maybe you have started with the chicken dropping and along the line you need to manure, what do you do? Is there a way you change the soil, or that's whatever you start with is enough to take care of the plant?
Okay, so once a baby is growing, along the way they need to be fed. So along the way we do what we call top-ups.
Okay.
Yes, we do top-ups with the manure and just stir them to ensure that there is air and more manure and water back into the soil.
Okay.
Yes.
So the chicken dropping, you just buy it, or because that one, so I learned it produces heat. So I don't know how long it takes, or maybe when you get it, do you have to leave it in the sun and water it for some time before you start using it?
So in terms of any manure can produce heat, but basically with the chicken droppings or any other one, I always advise that you go for the very dry one, not the very fresh one from the market.
From the market.
Yes.
Oh,
market,
okay.
You go for the very dry one and apply them.
Oh,
okay. Be very fine and okay.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
But Victus, can I share a little experience on the chicken? And this is Kwame.
Yes, Kwame Asari. Yes, great to see you. He's before he comes in, he's also one of the big men doing so much in the space, and he harvests a lot. If you show staffs, you'll be amazed that he's doing those things in his house as well. So Kwame, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity and very wonderful presentation you have there. I think about the manure that our sister just I met a farmer who gave me a little, advice about it. The chicken dropping, just in case you go to the market and you don't get an old one. Now, there's a way that you can use the new one in an emergency situation. So what this farmer taught me was that, so you get a chicken drop and soak it in water. For when you soak it in water, you realize that the chicken dropping is going to float.
Yes.
And you see a lot of heat coming out from the chicken dropping, very high heat. So it will float for about a day or two. Then you realize that after the third day, you see that the chicken dropping will settle. Once it settles, the heat is gone, and you can use it for your emergency situation. If you don't get the old chicken drop and you organic manure, and once you put it in water for about 72 hours, you realize that the chicken dropping will settle, will go to the bottom. Once it goes to the bottom, the heat is out and it's good to be applied on your pot. planted, which will not cause excessive heat to. That's something that I did. I have experimented it, and it worked for me. Yeah, so I just wanted to put it across for our other brothers and sisters on the platform that want to, go the organic way. It's very interesting. It works very effective. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. In fact, Tony and I, especially when it comes to our nursery, there is an amazing way that we apply manure. We turn the poultry droppings into liquid form, and you just love it. But it smells good. That we will say it smells good. But we apply it, and I mean, you just love you see the transformation. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Yes. So we open up to any question.
Yeah, I just wanted to share an experience about the question our brother asked about the source of the seedlings that we are using or the plants that we are planting in the sacks. Most of the time we have our own perceptions and things that are local, that are made in our environment. We don't really trust them, and we question their scientific authenticity. That has been our problem. Because when I was a child, me and my grandparents, when they harvest maize, it is the harvested maize that produce the seedling for the next planting, and then it has never failed them. When we were growing before this seed buying came, and people believe in the seed buying because they think they have scientific backgrounds. But most of the time, those companies that do that, most of their researches are not done in Ghana. They are not done in our environment. They are not done in a tropical environment. And because they worked in their country, because they want money, they just bring it and dump it on us using sweet words. They put scientific appellations on them. And because our people, we believe that things that are local are not good, we go for those ones, and we leave those that people have used experience to develop in our environment. And that has been our problems, because we can't be doing those things, believing other people's things, and expect to have a good result, because their research was done in their environment using their climate. Our climate is different. But because we have perception that anything that is different, that is what we like in Africa and in Ghana, our system does not work. I remember some years back in Keta municipality, we have this vegetable farming, and we have tomatoes that we grow that much.
Exactly.
There's this man who has done research and has developed seed that he wanted to sell to the farmers. And the farmers went to buy those that are made already from different companies. He told them it's not going to work. When they planted the seed, they started growing well, but somewhere along the line, they grew into flowers. They never put on fruits. He told them from the very beginning. That man was the DC at the time, and he has an MC in agriculture. He developed his own seed. So our perceptions then, this is a revolution to give us what I would say food safety, because we have problem with food in Ghana. For that matter, the whole of Africa. If many people can grow food in their house, I think most of the diseases that we have from eating this junk food that they dump on us will be reduced. People can even have 2 square meal a day, because in Ghana, research has shown that many people cannot provide 2 square meal a day. So it's a revolution, something that is world changing. Like it's a good thing. You guys are doing a yeoman. The way you are sharing it for free, it's something that is like, I don't even know how to express it. I'm just very thankful for the information, and I believe that Ghanaians will take it seriously. And with no big amount of money, you can have your food at home, and that will be another way of like saving some money that you might be using to go to hospital to solve health problems. So it's a very good thing. I thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much too. Before any other thing, I want to equally acknowledge our sister Vinia Gbenyaga, and I can see Dr. Genevieve Faite and a host of others that I would like to equally acknowledge their presence as they join us. Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. iPhone.
The last thing I'll add is that as you had a great time, and I wouldn't like you to just leave us here just like that. Just make sure you put us on a platform whereby you be educating us, because some of us want to go into it. It's very important. If any sickness in your life, I think that organic food can cure it. I believe in food healing than everything. But just that you don't get the actual food at the right time, you don't get it. So sometimes you have to maneuver away just to be part of the junk department. But I don't believe in those food. But so if you can put this on a platform whereby you be helping us, be educating us, new innovations, we can do more research to find out some of the new things, the investments that we can put in place to be able to, to be abreast in some of the situations like this. We'll be happy. So don't just leave us on this platform just by telling us, put it on the platform, whatever, every day. We will get the understanding of the thing so that we can fully go into it. And that's it.
Request duly accepted. Yes, request duly accepted. Yes, please, iPhone, we can hear you. Please, can you all hear me? Please, can you all hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Great. So request duly accepted. I will kindly suggest that those who are interested can pass their contact through our brother, or just notify our brother Nehemiah, and we will add you to the group so we can share our experiences across board. I can equally see our sister Priscilla.
Yeah, my name is Eric Nana.
Oh, nice. Our sister and my best partner Priscilla Adon is equally on the platform. We've seen her hand up. Our sister Priscilla.
Hi, Victus. It's been good hearing your presentation, a very great one. And my own is just a little encouragement. I remember when we started this in 2019, I mean, we're all so eager about it. And it's been such a blessing to many homes and to our individual homes. What I can say is that whatever he's saying is right. It's working, especially in these days where the Harmattan is beating us so much and then food prices are going high and high. I keep on harvesting okra, peppers, and a whole lot, not buying, they are purely organic. And I am even blessed to have catfish water poured on it so that the manure content always goes higher and higher. And then these crops continue to produce for me. So I would say no one should have doubts about it. Just go ahead and give it a try, at least irrespective of the space you have. Just give it a try. And from then, I'm sure you yourself will want to expand it and even commercialize it, make some money out of it. Because for some of us, we are selling our okras to the vegetable shops around and even our peppers. So it's just to encourage you all. And then Victus, good job done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And you've also made a presentation recently, I think this week past, and in the same area. And thank you too as well. Before we end it, I know she touched on using her catfish excess water to water her plant. That's also another beautiful way. And Tony is also doing something similar in that direction. And our brother Kofi also, before we started, was sharing his example of how her daughter is doing fish farming and the rest. All those waters, sometimes You may not have the manure readily available, but your source of water, maybe you have a dedicated polytank or container. Yes, you can make it count beyond just the vegetables that you are producing. You can rear your fish in there and use the excess water to water your plant, because the excess water that is there contains, excuse me to say, fish poo-poos, which are very good for the plant. And once you use them, you are ready to go. Our sister always keeps sharing her experience using that water alone to cultivate lettuce and other vegetables that she's been enjoying. So thank you all so much. Perhaps I made a request earlier. I don't know if Tony would like to add his voice to that. Some of the benefits in terms of monies realized, what you can use it for. I don't know if Tony is on the call and is something he wants to share his example in that area. Okay, I think, yeah. Hello, Tony, are you there? Okay, Tony may be far from his phone now. But basically what is happening across what people are testifying, some out of their own produce are able to buy polytanks, are able to roof their buildings, are able to buy some of the things that ordinarily they would not have maybe touch it now, but let's call it in quotes an earned income or excess income from this can help you do a lot for yourself. So it's an avenue that we should all venture into if you really care about the safety of the food that you are eating. We may not take it so serious, but in the next couple of years, when age is catching up on you, or even before that, you will realize that what you take in is very important. Very, very important. So the safety of what you eat from today, I want to just assure you again that it is in your own hands and you can make it count. And it's making it count, you can help earn some extra income as well for yourself. And I thank you all for making the time and giving me the opportunity to share with you what I've been doing and others as well have been doing over the years. And we look forward to further sharing more on this as and when you call on us. Thank you all so much. And thank you, my brother, for reaching out to me to share our experience, Brother Nehemiah. Thank you all so much. Hello, host.
Sorry about that. My internet has been a bit erratic, but thank you so much, Victor. And thank you for also coming here with your army of resource persons who have also been very helpful. We are very grateful. From Accra Golden Lions Club, Little Women Lions Club, we put this together, and you've given us so much to walk away with. We believe that in a few months we'll be growing what we eat, and we'll also be disciples of your word, and we'll be getting more people to follow up and also start or embark on in sack farming and some bit of backyard farming to feed their families and also to earn something if they are looking to do so. I thank you very much, and thank you very much to everyone who's joined us. I must say, folks have been awesome by sticking around for a long time from when we started till now that we are ending. So thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. And watch this space. We'll be bringing other speakers to touch on different things, and we hope that you learn and walk away and empower this as you take away the knowledge. Thank you, and good night to everyone. Thank you.
Good night too. Thank you once again.